we've spent the last almost 3 months travelling southwest WA, and we decided it's time to finally talk about exactly how much we've spent, and we're going to summarise our time in WA.
We know we haven't finished WA in its entirety. We've only done the southwest part. That's because we're from Perth. So to do a lap around Australia makes more sense to do the northern part of WA on our way back.
Yes, so we will eventually do another update on WA once we've done the northern part.
Yes, and we'll probably include some of this bits in this video to like make it more of a state summary than a region summary.
But yeah, so we're gonna fully explain everything. So we started this trip on the 16th of November, so you've only got like half a month there. And then we've included like the start of Feb because we crossed into South Australia on the 4th. The thing that everyone is probably here for, how much have we spent in the last 2.5, 3 months?
Can I get a drum roll, Lydia? So the total spend for the whole of the 2.7 months, I guess, is $3,947.22. Now,
I feel like there needs to be like a celebration. So we spent $827.26 on fuel. Now this is over the whole like 2.5, 3 months.
Yeah, which I do have to say the van has quite surprised me in the fuel consumption. We get about 10 litres per 100 kilometres, and that's like fully loaded. We're carrying a lot in the van.
Yeah.
And we have been using like Bowser Watch and Fuel Watch to try and reduce our fuel costs, so we can like see which place is cheapest.
And I guess one thing we should flag that we expected our expenses to be more, which we'll get to a little later. But with WA, we actually travel quite slowly. So with our lap of Australia, if you're new here, or I don't think we've ever explained it really in our videos,
I don't think so.
We haven't set a time frame for this. We're just going as fast as we want. If we like a place, we stay a bit longer. If we want to chill out for a bit, we chill out. We haven't got a set time frame, and we kind of warned family that it may take a couple years. So we travelled very slowly through WA. So I guess that's why we weren't like...
I mean, to give you guys an idea, I think the first fuel purchase that we did was like midway through December. So
oh yeah, probably. Probably when we hit Collie.
Yeah.
Insurance on the van, which is $502.86.
And I do want to say as well is that it's not just insurance on the van, it's also contents insurance, and it literally covers everything in the van.
Yes, so we've got everything covered, and that actually, for anyone who's interested in the monthly cost, it's $167.62 per month.
Yeah, which I actually think is really good.
Groceries, so this is without a doubt like our biggest spend. And I think it always will be because we love food and we have to buy gluten-free because I'm celiac.
Although I do think we should
cut it down
look at it a little bit better.
Yeah, I think we could be better. Maybe all the candy runs weren't good to us.
Yeah.
But our groceries were $1,894.72. Our phone plan was $70.
So Lydia's thing is actually an annual purchase. So it's once a year. I think we pay $180 or something similar to that. And mine was on a promotion so the first 4 months was $35. And we paid it just before we left. So it's only included twice. So that's why it's $70.
Yes.
And that has changed now, but you'll see that in the next state summary.
Cool. So paid campsites was $355.
Yes.
Which is how many nights? 4, 4, 1?
2. 4, 4, 2.
Oh yeah, 4,
Or
4,
was it
2.
3, 4, 2?
It was either 10 or whatever. We will add it on the screen, but it was around 10 nights.
Yeah,
paid campsites.
and like they were all in places where there were no free camps available.
Yeah,
so
pretty much
that was the
had to.
only choice we had.
Entertainment was $141.41.
Which, you know, you look at it and you're like, what? That is pretty low. We've been in WA, so there's a lot of things that we probably would have done if we were in the state, like for the first time.
What? Oh yeah.
So,
okay.
like-
So we kind of knew like what was worth spending money on and what wasn't. If you have the park pass, you're covered. So that was actually majority of our spend. Now this entertainment covers the park pass for WA and South Australia, because like we said, we bought that in this time period.
Which, pro tip,
Yes.
if you are wanting a WA park pass or whatever, I highly recommend getting an annual All Parks pass, but not through the Department of Parks and whatever. Actually, if you have an RAC membership, or even if you need to buy an RAC membership, it's $29 for an RAC membership, and that will entitle you to a 50% discount on a national park pass.
Yes.
So that $29 will save you, I don't know, like $60.
Yeah, and we've actually...
So that would be like $32 that you would save for getting the parks pass. So
we've included that in our entertainment. We
as well.
actually paid for RAC and then bought the park pass for WA. But park pass was great. Next, so gear. So this was 14... No, this is like miscellaneous
I wasn't
gear.
sure whether to include this in gear or like in other category, but I put it in gear for some reason. Which,
So,
I mean, makes sense.
It was $14 and it was a washing line.
Yeah. For some reason, we didn't think to get a washing line. So...
Yeah. This is the last one, actually, which wouldn't really apply to most people, but it's like costs for our website or our YouTube. So it's just subscription things we have. So that was $141.97.
Yeah.
Now that was Epidemic Sound subscription, Lightroom.
Which is an annual one as well. So that's probably why it's that high.
True. Lightroom subscription, and we also had to renew the domain on our website.
Yes.
So that's not like a regular monthly thing.
No.
We should add that, like, going into this, we had no idea what to expect on budget, but we kind of predicted based on what we thought we'd spend and what we saw other people spend and how we are usually as spenders. And we expected to spend $2,500 a month.
Yeah, and like
that's what we budgeted
I'll
for.
show like a little breakdown on the screen of what we thought we would spend money on.
Yeah. But we've come in a lot under. But the reason really for that is a few things. Like, we travelled a lot slower than we thought we would, like we said. We didn't speed through the Southwest WA. We drive quite slowly, firstly. Then, I guess, secondly was, like I said, we'd been to Southwest WA before. So we didn't spend money on experiences that we had done previously.
Yeah.
And then, I guess the other thing we should add is that we didn't end up signing up for internet.
Yeah.
We have stuck to our phone plans, and I'm sure you can go more into detail.
We were kind of on the fence of whether to get like a signal boost or getting like a little modem, or to get Starlink. And honestly, I'm grateful that we didn't make that choice before we left on the trip, because otherwise we probably would have ended up with Starlink.
Because we were kind of freaking out before as well. We're like, we got to get this set up before we go. We got to have everything ready. Like, nah.
Yeah.
And then we ended up going, and we're like, let's just stay on our phone plans. We can hotspot and see how we go.
Yeah.
And I mean,
it's worked perfectly. Like, we had signal for majority of the time, and if we didn't, like, it's for like one day.
It was like the Nullarbor.
The Nullarbor,
and
I think like Ravensthorpe.
Yeah, Ravensthorpe, weirdly.
But that was it.
So that saved us a good chunk of money too. I think we've done pretty well. I think
so as well.
Usually when people do their breakdowns, they spend quite a lot of money on like eating out as well. And
and alcohol.
yes, we don't really drink that much. I mean, we drink, but we're not like, it's not frequent.
No, I think we would
like
both
if we're out
rather,
somewhere
like,
and someone has drinks, we're like, oh yeah, sure, we'll have a drink. But
I think Lydia would rather have Nesquik.
stop. And then I guess like eating out, because I'm celiac, we don't eat out that much. So there has been a couple of times in South Australia that we've eaten out, which has been really nice, but not in WA.
I do also wanted to say that if you removed all the prep for like the Nullarbor in South Australia, like our average before that monthly would be, I think, about $1,500. So $1,000 under what we budgeted for. But then if you remove the prep for the Nullarbor as well, it was, I think, $1,200 to $1,300 a month. So overall, like, that's more than $1,000 under budget, or what we expected to spend.
We are very lucky. We are very lucky and very privileged to be in a spot where we don't have any debt on our van.
Yeah.
So we don't have any like financing or whatever. This is all bought from selling our house.
Yeah.
So we don't have to worry about that sort of fee. So really what we spend is just what's coming up
Exactly.
each month on what we're doing. Cool.
Cool.
Alright, so we finished running through money, but we're still going to talk about money. So now we're going to talk about things that were a waste of money.
I think the only thing that I think that we spent a little bit too much money on was paid campsites. And it's not to knock them or anything, but I think we stayed too long in Margaret River. And then also I would say Pemberton, but RAC had such a good promo on. So it's kind of hard to say that we spent a little bit too much time there.
I think it was like a stay 4 nights, pay 3 or something like that.
So it was actually kind of nice to reset and like have water hookup and like shower and whatever.
I actually wrote paid campsites as well, and I said, because the thing is, Vian put so much effort in making this an off-grid setup. So for us, being connected and being on grid was a waste.
Yeah.
Like, we used it to the best of our ability. I think we cooked loads while we were there. And, like,
I think we cooked
charged
like
every
a whole
piece of
week's
equipment
worth of
we
dinner
had.
and like, yeah.
Like, literally.
And it was raining at that time, so the solar input wasn't as much.
So we tried to get the most out of it, but I do think that was what we wasted the money on. And I said maybe, because I think we did 3 or 4 nights in like each, I probably would have done 2.
Yeah.
Basically.
Agreed.
And I think especially afterwards, going forward, we would spend as little time in paid campsites as possible.
Rather than looking out, what is the best deal that we can get?
Yeah. Cool. Things that were worth the money. Now, I'll go first. Mine is the park pass. Now, I vouch for this so heavily because pretty much every experience and every attraction we went to in WA was under the park pass.
Yeah.
Like the Stirling Range Mountains, Misery Beach in Albany, the Dave Evans Bicentennial Tree in Pemberton. Like, pretty much everywhere we went was within a national park.
Yeah.
And each of those would have been, I think it's like $10 a day.
I think it might be 15.
Really? We'll add it on the screen. But let's say it was like $10 a day entry. So getting that pass definitely saved us money from how much time we spent in each of those national parks.
We probably would be like 10 times over as much.
Yeah. It's literally like every main attraction in WA is there. If you come to WA, you 1000% have to get a park pass.
Yeah.
It is a million times worth it. Pretty much every main spot is in a national park.
And you know, like, I feel like in WA they put the money to good use, like in the national parks.
Yeah.
Like the attractions are really well done. I also had Parks Pass.
Yeah.
But then, one of the greatest deals ever, the strawberries in Manjimup. It was.
We didn't even have that in a video.
I know we didn't have it in a video. We literally, like, we were in Pemberton and of course we stayed a little bit too long. So like one of the days we're like, let's go look for a roadside stall so we can get some avocado. We're in avocado territory and it was so difficult. I drove to like, I feel like 10 avo farms and I couldn't find a single roadside stall.
We did eventually find avocados.
Yeah.
But then like while we were looking for like fruit stalls, I was like, Van, there's this place that does like pick your own strawberries.
Yeah.
But they weren't open for pick your own that day, but they were selling like big...
Well,
they said
one crate. So a crate could be anything, right?
They were
huge. So big, so tasty, and there was so much.
But I think we ate strawberries for like 2 weeks straight.
Yeah.
It was like every meal. It was like after dinner we'd have strawberries.
100%
and we started putting
worth
strawberries in pancakes. We used it so much. It was so good. That's things that are worth the money. Now, best campsite.
You go because you'll probably be angry at me for doing more than one campsite.
Okay, I did
Lydia
one.
told me to keep everything short and concise.
Yes, because Vian always rambles. You would know that by now. So the best campsite I put was East Bay Campground. Now this is probably surprising because that's also where we had our worst camper experience. But I think it was bad circumstances, not a bad campground.
Yeah.
Like we went there in peak school holiday time. And the actual campground itself was like, you're right on the water. And there were dolphins that were frequent the bay. It was like a beautiful
Absolutely
spot.
Beautiful. I do want to say as well, like, you have a look at wiki camps now.
Yeah.
And that campsite is always full now. And I
Always
think
full.
it's because the ones closer to Albany are now paid campsites.
Yeah.
So the one Cozy Corner is now a paid campsite. So I feel like everyone that used to go to those three
are now going
to East Bay and Betty's.
So it's probably always busy, but...
So probably will always be busy.
But I did say, I said honourable mentions to the Bunbury 48-hour stay, the Glenmervyn Dam in Collie, and the Drakesbrook Weir in Waroona. Those were amazing.
Yeah.
Any others you noted?
Yes. So I also said East Bay. It's nice for enjoying the beach and chilling.
Yeah.
I said Cozy Corner for location.
Yeah.
Now that it's paid, I probably would reconsider that.
Yeah.
But like for its location, you're only 30-40 minutes away from Albany. Then I wrote Glenmervyn, to surround yourself in nature. It was so beautiful there. And then the rest stop near Bluff. We stayed there a couple of times.
Yeah.
Because it's so convenient for the hikes.
So close.
You're like 30 minutes away from Bluff. 20 to 40 minutes away from any of the other ones. So it's really, really, really good for those early sunrise hikes.
Yeah. Best experience. I will go first. Stirling Range Mountains. I will forever be so proud of like doing that challenge and doing all of those mountains. And it was just so beautiful.
Yeah.
Like every mountain was beautiful and unique in its own right, and I'm just so proud of that experience and loved it so much.
It's actually very, very surprising how different every single hike is. You would think that it would be very similar. Once you've done one, you've done them all, but they're so different.
Yeah. And then I wrote honourable mention to all of the animal experiences. I am a sucker for the animal experiences, so they are all special to me in their own way.
Yeah. That's it.
What did you get?
Okay. So, very, very similar. I said Talyaburlup, which is one of the Stirling Range hikes.
That one was definitely a favourite.
I really wanted to, like, give a shout out to that, because I feel like Bluff Knoll and Toolburnup are the more popular ones, and I don't feel like Talyaburlup gets, like...
No, it doesn't.
There needs to be more justice for Talyaburlup. Like, I think it's probably the nicest one out of all of them.
Yeah.
Then very, very similar. I said Bunbury Dolphins and Rockingham Seals. Yeah. I feel like especially with the Dolphins, that was such a nice experience, because it was like we were expecting to see them, and it's like, well, we weren't expecting to see them, but we were looking for them, and we've gone looking for them at multiple times in multiple different locations, and then we gave up, and then boom, here they are, and they're like surrounding us and like swimming right next to us and like following us. It was very nice. And then the last point that I wrote was spending every day, all day, with my best friend. And I'm kind of upset that you did not write that.
I was trying to keep it concise and short, Bian. I feel the same. Least favourite place or experience.
I have a feeling we have the
Now,
same.
I only wrote one, so don't go into a million. I just wrote Margaret River. And this is probably a very, very, very unpopular opinion for anyone who has been in WA.
Yeah.
But Margaret River is known for its wineries, and we are not really wine drinkers.
Yeah. And also, I wrote the same thing. But also, I feel like probably not so much for you, but like I've been in Margaret River so many times, and I've done the caves, I've done all the beaches, like I've done it all.
Yeah, because you went there with family as well.
Yeah, multiple times. So I feel like even the things besides the wineries are overdone for me.
We actually filmed a video in Margaret River and never posted it because it never felt like genuine to us. It felt like we were going places just to go places.
Yeah.
And it just, So, Margaret River, sorry if that's an unpopular opinion.
It'll be very unpopular.
So, regrets and things that we change. Now, I wrote that it's really hard to comment on this because there's still so much WA that we haven't done, and we've only done that small portion of Southwest WA, and obviously we are planning on doing the rest of WA, but we knew we were only going to cover Southwest WA, which we were already super familiar with, which helped with us knowing what experiences were worth it and what experiences weren't, which I think helped us get rid of a lot of regrets, or like stop us from making decisions that we'd regret, basically, because we already knew the area. But if I have to say something, it would probably be not spending longer in Esperance.
Yeah.
We only stayed in Esperance 2 nights in the Cape Le Grand National Park with the whole Lucky Bay trip. And I do wish we'd spent more time actually in Esperance, enjoying some of those beaches. Yeah. Exactly. But there's no free campsites in Esperance.
Yeah, it's very difficult.
So super difficult, and I think everywhere was like booked.
Yeah.
And we even booked
the places
Lucky
that
Bay like
weren't
2
were like
months.
$60 a night.
Yeah.
So,
and didn't we book Lucky Bay like 2 months in advance, pretty much?
Yeah, and we were lucky with that as well.
Yeah, pretty much.
We just tried.
It was like those days were free, and then all the days after were not free, and then all the days before were not. So.
It's crazy, like pretty much unheard of to get a booking at Lucky Bay on short notice.
Yeah.
And like 2 months would be considered short notice for Lucky Bay. I pretty much wrote the same sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's not regret doing something, it's regret not staying somewhere long enough. I think it would have been nice to spend another day or 2 in Bustleton.
Yes.
So we can like actually properly kayak and like enjoy the area, maybe go to the beach and enjoy that more.
Because we snorkeled along the jetty, and that was so
We walked
fun.
on the jetty and we snorkeled on the jetty, and then like we went to Margaret River.
Yeah.
I feel like it was a little rushed, but like also not really. I feel like if it was enjoyed over a couple of days and we took our time, I feel like it would have been better. And then I said spend a couple more days at Glenmervyn. We did really enjoy it there, and we cut it a bit short because my sister lives in Collie, and we wanted to go see her before she went to Perth, and so we had to rush that and cut Glenmervyn a bit short. And then I also wrote starting videos a little earlier, and this is purely just because I would like to be more real time.
It's not really specific to WA, but specific to our time, I guess.
Our time in WA. But we are going to post a couple more bonus videos over next coming weeks to catch up, and we're probably not that far off.
No.
So,
I think after we do a couple extra videos the next few weeks, we're then real time with what we're actually doing.
Yeah.
Which would be so much better because you guys can give us recommendations on places we're heading, and you know, that's going to be a whole lot of fun. So biggest surprise, I have put how much we enjoyed the small towns that we stayed at that we hadn't really heard of before. And we only stayed at and explored because they had a free camp there.
I had no idea that some of those towns even existed.
Literally. And for some reason I'm blanking on any of the names of them, which is awful of me. I forgot to write them down because Vian added this category a little bit later, so I like quickly did it off the top of my head. But we will add some names on here, but there were small towns that we just went to and like loved.
Yeah. My biggest surprise is how much I enjoyed Albany.
Yeah.
And I've been there 2 times before. I feel like my impression on Albany was kind of but then when we spent so much time in Albany, I actually think the Albany, Denmark area is one of my favorites so far.
Yeah, I would say it's one of our highlights, like 100%.
Yeah, and like it's so great because it sounds weird to say this, but it's actually not that isolated.
Yeah.
Like, you are...
Depends on where we've been now.
You are 30 to 45 minutes away from mountains, forests, some of the best beaches.
Yeah.
And then also, like, shops for, like, convenience and stuff. Like, you can literally get anything done in, like, a 30 to 40 minute drive. So, it's actually really good.
Yeah, I agree. Biggest challenges. Now, I'll go first.
I don't think I actually wrote anything for this.
So we won't really go too much detail on this because I feel like we really covered it in our impressions on van life video.
Yeah.
But it would just be traveling during the school holidays.
Yeah.
Everything was so much more busy and it was just a lot more stressful.
Yeah. And, like, I don't think I wouldn't really put it as a the biggest challenge. I think we navigated that quite well. It was just the biggest inconvenience, more so.
Hey, it's still a challenge, but we just dealt with the challenge well. Cool. And then we wanted to end it on like, this is a really weird thing.
Very, very weird.
I named it Product Shout Out. This isn't like a sponsorship or anything.
It's purely
it's just like a product that like stood out to us over the state and that we loved.
Yeah.
For various reasons. Now I wrote 2. Again, like both of these I've touched on before. I think you have something new. I can't remember what yours is now, but I think you do. But the IKEA induction cooktops is my first one, which we mentioned in
the van tour.
The van tour. Then we've got our 2 induction cooktops. We've got like
nachos.
Yeah, the van tour. We were really hesitant about buying them. We looked at getting a lot more expensive ones. They're pretty cheap. They've been really good. We cook with them like pretty much daily. Constantly cook with them. They're amazing. Great. The other thing which I also mentioned in the van tour is my hair towel turban thing. The whole time in WA and even now I have not used a hairdryer this entire trip. I literally shower and then immediately put on this hair towel turban thing and let it dry like majority of my hair, and then I just let my hair dry.
It's a waterproof bag.
Oh, I just remembered
like it's meant for like phones and stuff, but we use it for the van key, and like sometimes we put our phone in there. But it's actually so nice to put your key in a waterproof bag and then attach it to yourself or like have it in your hand or whatever. And you don't have to worry about hiding it somewhere or having like a little lock box on the van or something. We can just go swimming and keep with like have that peace of mind.
It's genuinely been
it's so nice, except for when you lose it in a dam.
Oh my god, we just always have like
it's a good thing there's air here.
So we have this, which is to protect the key just while we swim. And we were like, oh, we'll take it in the water and put it in Bounce's pocket.
I have an idea.
Had it in Bounce's pocket.
We'll tie it to this.
Yes. That was a one-off. That was a rookie mistake from Bounce. Since then, it's been like
it's been
strapped onto my hand with the like GoPro stick thing.
So we probably look so weird sometimes because like we have like a floaty handle thing for the GoPro, and we just attach it to that. We don't actually go out with the GoPro. It's just so that like it floats if we let go of it, and it has like an orange thing on it. So
but that was a really good purchase.
Absolute
Shout out
game
to that.
changer.
I don't think it was expensive either.
No, I think it was like
we'll
$20.
include whatever it was on the screen. But guess what?
We are done.
That's it. Let us know if you have any other questions or want us to include anything in our next state summary, because obviously it's not going to be like next week we post
or
that.
if you want us to be in greater depth in some categories.
But like every state we're going to do this, like a state summary, and just kind of summarize everything. So if you want us to add anything else or you think we missed anything, let us know. Like Vian said, we're going to be posting a little bit extra in the next few weeks, and then we're going to be 100% real time with videoing. That's it.
That's it.
Thanks so much for watching, and see you in the next video.